All right, Lean Maniacs, if you're watching this, it's probably because you saw the name Chuck Ciccarelli from In the Ditch Towing. This guy needs no introduction in the lean community, and what he has created is mind-boggling. And normally when we do plant tours and stuff, we just, we go into the factory and we video everything, and it's exciting and great, and we all learn stuff. But I knew that Chuck had wisdom that he was going to bestow on us far, far beyond just a plant tour. So we put a mic on Chuck the minute we walked in, and we didn't turn it off until the minute we left. And I am so glad we did that. There's no words for the visit that we had with Chuck. Life-changing is probably an understatement, to be honest. And even this video probably won't do it justice, but you should get the essence of what was going down. And so this is going to be broken up into 3 parts. We got the part 1 is meet Chuck. Part 2 is going to be the walk to the factory. And that was probably just as good as the plant tour. Oh, like I said, I'm just so glad we mic'd them up. And then part 3 is the plant tour. So I know in the social media world, long videos aren't the way to go, but I don't care. I could not edit out 1 minute that we spent with Chuck, and I want to share every last second with all of you. So without further ado, let's go.
That's where In the Ditch was. So 5 years ago, that was a gravel parking lot. That's where Paul Akers toured us.
We just watched that video on the way here.
Each roof is a different addition.
Wow.
And it was interesting. Every time we felt we needed to expand, I would read something from Shingo or Ono, and we would go back down and wring the towel, and we would find more capacity. And we just kept doing it and doing it. And then when Paul Akers come, I could give you a 5-gallon bucket and you could not find a spot to set it. We were utilizing, we were doing 25 million a year out of there and no finished inventory. Let me tell you something. I used to have all of our inventory and perfect rows, and the banks would come in and they're like, all the money you need, this is organized. From a lean standpoint, what a waste, right? I couldn't see the forest for the trees. When we made a decision to go lean, Kristen that you're gonna meet was there, and I read a statement in a Toyota book that said, you're either doing one-piece part flow or you're just a wannabe. That's the way I interpreted it.
Yeah.
So I drew a line on the floor with chalk, and I put everybody on that side. I think we had about 25 employees. And I said, well, first we did is we spent 2 days walking through the shop in batches of people, 10 people, stand there. Each one of us would do something to see if we could ship. At the end of the 2 days, I said, we're going one-piece part flow, end of story, non-negotiable. Anybody that wants to take the journey with me, cross the line. Those of you that don't, we'll give you a month's pay, and you need to just move on, because I'm not gonna fight with you. We're doing this. They all came over. We set a goal of tearing down all of the storage shelves in our shipping department, all of the storage racks. We give ourselves 2 weeks. We also made a decision to, sorry, I was thinking about when we went paperless. That was a little bit later. So I had to bring my bankers in and say, I need you to come see me because you're going to walk in this warehouse that had all this product. There's nothing in here, and I need you to know I'm not going broke. Over the next 12 months, our balance sheet flipped too. And banks are so flawed. I don't know how they are in Canada, but in the US, they'll give you an operating line, but they'll loan up to 60% against your inventory.
Oh boy.
And 80% against receivables. So if you want to borrow more money, you need to have more inventory. Am I right? So when we got rid of the inventory, I couldn't be compliant with my loans, but the cash is building. Does that make sense? But they weren't that interested in the cash because I didn't have anything for them to leverage against the loan, right?
Right.
So anyways, we did this miraculous journey and we just did it. We're a crazy company. The book Good to Great, they talk about BHAGs. Familiar with that term?
Yes, very.
Big, hairy, audacious goal. Erica, who's over here, one day we decided to go paperless. Would you believe this organization, God is my witness, for the first 12 months, we saved over $16,000 a month on average when we went paperless. And what cracks me up about companies, and I mean, here's the thing to tell you. First off, I'm going to tell you, I'm no businessman. I don't feel qualified to tell you how to run a business, but I can tell you what works for me. I find it just cracks me up. Businesses are trying to grow, right? But if you would just reduce costs, that's where the real money is. You do $50, $60 million a year in sale. Cost of goods, most companies, if they're running properly, is somewhere up around 50%, 60%. You go shave 10% off of that, buddy, that's when you start rolling in the dough.
Yeah, that would be like $5 million.
I don't know what most companies' EBITDAs are. We're rolling in the 30 to 35% EBITDA as a manufacturer. It got so crazy that I actually hired our accountants to come and do an audit because we couldn't even believe we were keeping so much money. So instead of gross profit, we call it available dollars. And when you start keeping 35 cents of every dollar that comes through the building.
Oh my God, Chuck. This is unheard of. Are we allowed to put that on this?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
No, I mean,
This
I was
is
like,
setting the bar.
They were saying that the people I was talking to, especially when we got into the private equity deal, is that's what tech companies make.
Right.
And
Yeah,
we're
that's
like,
not for manufacturers.
it's for, I mean, we're cranking it out 3, 4, 5 years in a row. So anyways, we went from here and we built that and we designed the whole thing in-house, our engineers. So we're sitting in here, you know, sweat's rolling off of us, you know, the balls are falling in, and we held on to the dream of Inventive, and I'm so proud of that. And especially the people that, you know, helped us get there.
So you've got Inventive is kind of like the umbrella. Oh, and I see the sign with 4 different companies on in the ditch, and I see 3 more that I can't, because I'm old, I can't see them. But
Razorback Off-Road Fish Fighter.
Okay.
So here's the first part. We started in the ditch towing products, manufacturing towing accessories for tow trucks.
Right.
And I would say we really changed an industry. At that point, when people were building tow trucks, wrecker dealers, I had a dealership. I'll have to stop for this one. What happens is if you build tow trucks like we do, customer would come in, Brad would come in and say, Chuck, I want a lug wrench bracket, I want an air hose bracket, I want a shovel holder. And we would go out in the back and get the metal and we would hand fabricate it, and we would get 10 hours into making a shovel bracket that was only worth 1 hour labor.
Right.
So then we started developing standardized. We started making standardized shovel brackets. Going back to talent, we were trying to simplify this thing. So our big claim, one of the things we did was we developed a toolbox that has multiple mounting holes in it. Tow truck distributor mounts it on the truck. Brad, the customer, says, I want a shovel mount, lug wrench bracket, battery cable holders. They grab them off the shelf and they modularly bolt on. And we really got going. So we went from 25 employees and in 5 years, 120 employees. 2 shifts a day, 2 laser towers.
Was this a market that existed that just hadn't been tapped into, or do you think you created this market? Like 5 years, like that's a big jump. Like the demand had to be there. People just didn't know about it, or no one else was doing it.
The build was more like 15 years, but the big jump was in 5 years.
Right.
But like we're a very disciplined company, and we ran off the rails 5 years ago. I was working people too many hours. We're 7 days a week. And I sat right over there and I felt deflated because I'm like, how are we ever gonna grow? So we had so many orders coming in. There was a period about 5 years ago, Kristen remembers, we were 1,500 customer orders behind. 1,500. It was so embarrassing that I didn't even go boating or anything because I didn't want anybody to see me and think I wasn't taking this serious. I went so far as to unplug our phones so people couldn't call. We disabled our website to stop the orders from coming in. And I was like, how are we gonna build a factory? Why can't we find people like me that when they're walking and see trash, they pick it up or understand processes? And I read through, I think it was Shingo that said, the first assumption must be when an employee makes a mistake, is not that the employee, or the first assumption from a manager when a mistake occurs is not that the employee made the mistake, but there's a flaw in the process that allowed it. And it was like a revelation. I was like, we can do this. We just need robust processes. So we stopped all new product development for 18 months. We stopped promoting our products and we did nothing but work on internal processes. Wow. And once we got those dialed, and Kristen will show you our internal parts library, it was like the seas parted and the floodgates opened. I mean, it was just seas parted, flood.
Yeah,
you guys
got it.
You
Lots
get
of
it,
water.
Right? So you get lots of water.
That's funny that you mentioned that, because just at first on the Stolbeck side right now, we're growing at a rate that, as a woodworker, I couldn't imagine it. And I'm even finding we're starting to hit little walls. We're struggling a little bit. I don't know. I just look at it and I'm like, that machine should be out of here in 1 day and it's taking us 3 days. And that stop developing is hard for me because I'm like, that's what I want to do. I love doing that stuff, but I do see the value in just pumping the brakes. And
we call them big resets. But you know what was interesting is Toyota says, don't trade the short-term profits for the long-term. And when we quit worrying about making money is when the money started rolling. Right. It's almost like when you give money at church,
open hand,
or you help somebody, that's a huge leap of faith. And I'm like, I didn't think anybody would invest in us because I'm the guy that's going to shut the whole factory down. We're going to spend 4 days cleaning and get ourselves back together.
Right.
Just listening to Chuck again gives me goosebumps. I hope you're enjoying it. Just remember, there's 3 parts to this. So if you're on the first one, look for the other 2. If you're on the second one, find the third one. You know what I mean. But there's nuggets of gold in each one of them. Oh, and before I forget, we also didn't miss the opportunity to sit down with Chuck in his studio, and we did a podcast, and this was our one and only podcast where we did not have a time limit and we did not put the brakes on. If Chuck was talking, we were recording. So look out for that podcast. You can find it on YouTube and Spotify. Just search On the Shop Floor. We'll see you there.